So welcome, the Rally for Workers' Rights. On behalf of Penn State United Students Against Sweatshops and Student Labor Action Project, and on behalf of workers all across the world who suffer to make our apparel, thank you for coming out. Your attendance here today will send a clear message to President Spanier and to the Penn State administration that students, faculty, community members, families, and alumni care about Penn State's reliance on sweatshop labor and wish to put an end to it. Down at that table, you will find a letter addressed to President Spanier, asking for him to sign on to the Designated Suppliers Program, the program that we are here today to support, the program that would effectively guarantee that Penn State apparel is sweatshop free. Please sign this letter. We will deliver this letter to President Spanier at the conclusion of this rally, and we invite all of you to join us in delivering this letter. Now, when you read the letter, you will notice that we're giving Spanier a deadline. We're asking him to signing on to the DSP within 1 week from today. And that means that 1 week from today, at 4 o'clock, it's not exactly 1 week, but more or less, we're all going to come back and we're going to hold Spanier to that deadline. We must hold Spanier to that deadline. Because as many of the speakers here today are going to tell you, this campaign has been dragging on for too long, far too long. For 9 years, President Spanier and his administration have refused to adopt efficient means of addressing the problem of sweatshop-produced Penn State apparel. 9 years is long enough. Martin Luther King once wrote a phrase that I feel aptly describes the administration's decade-long inaction on behalf of the workers who produce our apparel. In his letter from a Birmingham jail, Dr. King wrote, "Justice too long delayed is justice denied." That is exactly why we are here today.
I'm Paul Clark. I'm a professor of labor studies and industrial relations. I study working conditions around the world, and I have seen the kind of situations that workers have to work in day after day. And I know that the DSP is the best approach to improving these situations. Penn State is telling the world that it's a leader on this issue. It's simply not true. Penn State has been a follower. They have taken the easy way out. And while little children spend countless hours working in sweatshops, while women are sexually harassed, while people suffer day after day in these working conditions, Penn State does the minimum. Penn State has nothing to be proud of on this issue.
The Designated Suppliers Program, or DSP, is the solution to Penn State's sweatshop problem. Although Penn State is affiliated with industry monitoring organizations and has supposedly been following the situation for the past 9 years, Penn State apparel is still being produced in sweatshops. The DSP is a tool to improve the conditions in factories that produce university apparel. It would ensure that these factories comply with international labor standards, provide every worker with a living wage, and protect each worker's right to advocate for her own rights and to collectively organize to resist exploitative brands if she so desires. One of the biggest misconceptions about the DSP is that it would close factories. In reality, the DSP is designed to improve conditions in existing factories, not shut them down. It would actually increase job security for workers because one of the program's key components is that brands have to make a commitment to the factories they contract with. This means that participating factories would have enough orders to stay open and earn enough for those orders to pay their factories a living wage, to pay their workers a living wage. Because the DSP effectively guarantees that apparel is sweatshop free, over 40 universities have already signed on, including Duke, Cornell, Georgetown, Columbia, and 3 of the Big Ten schools. The DSP is not just feel-good liberalism, as some like to claim. It's a real solution to Penn State's sweatshop problem that balances power between brands and workers and acts as a concrete tool to remedy the exploitative nature of the entire university apparel industry. That's why we want the DSP, and we want it now.
Other Big Ten universities have joined, but Penn State remains, after 9 years, adamant in its opposition. This supports a new system of slavery, and it calls forth a new movement for the abolition of slavery, the DSP.
Yeah. Okay, yes! Thank you.
Remember what Frederick Douglass said during the last abolitionist movement. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Now is the time to end this form of slavery. Now is the time to make the demand. Loudly and repeatedly, join the DSP. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicole Baird. I am currently the treasurer of Speak Out, which is a queer political action group on campus. I want to just come out and pledge that Speak Out has been supportive of USAS and SLAP for the past 2 years and will continue to be supportive of their efforts and the adoption of the DSP program. I also wanted to say that as a land-grant university, it is Penn State's mission to be a public servant, to promote public scholarship and public welfare in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and in this country. By failing to adopt the DSP, by choosing to be a passive observer rather than an active participant in the fight for rights and fair and equal treatment for workers, Penn State is also failing its mission, and it's time to stop making excuses. Thank you.
The Teamsters Local 8, which is a union that represents 2,300 workers at Penn State, also stands in support of SLAP USAS, all of the attendees here today, and the Designated Suppliers Program. Now, unfortunately, the Teamsters president, Jonathan Light, couldn't be here today, but he requested that we read the following statement in his stead. Teamsters Local 8 joins Penn State students today in calling on the university to adopt the Designated Suppliers Program, a program that would ensure that university apparel is made under working conditions where workers have a voice on the job and a real chance at bargaining for a living wage. Without such a commitment from the university, many of the overseas workers who produce Penn State apparel in Asia and elsewhere face horrible working conditions. They are subject to forced overtime, extremely low wages, occupational hazards, and most importantly, when workers stand up to organize a union, they often face terminations and in some places even bodily injury. Penn State can and should take action to help change this situation. The logo of the university can be sweat-free if this university decides to make it so. This is a world-class institution of higher education. It should be an easy decision. Teamsters Local 8 represents technical service employees at Penn State University. We stand in solidarity with the students in calling for an end to sweatshops everywhere. When students and workers stand together, justice prevails. Penn State, do the right thing. Adopt the Designated Suppliers Program today. So thank you to Jonathan Light and the Teamsters. So what do we want? DSP! And when do we want it? Now! What do we want? The DSP! And when do we want it? Now! What do we want?